I think we're ready to start, right, Jen? Great. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Board of Trustees meeting September 25th, 2018. I'd like to take a motion to close the executive session and open the public meeting. Trustee Sullivan, second. Trustee Taylor, all in favor? Unanimous. And we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This week on Saturday, we have a ceremony for the fire department. And we recently had a parade, the Westchester County Fire Parade through town. And it was a wonderful event for a bunch of wonderful people that volunteer their services for us in the village. And what I'd like to do is, our thoughts and prayers go out to them. And not just the fire department, but the police officers and our ambulance corps, the first responders, that really go out of their way. We saw that on 9/11. We had a beautiful ceremony down on the river. And it's important that, and not only for the people that volunteer to do the work, but for their families too. I know in the middle of the night at times, people go out and rush to different emergencies and really go above and beyond for us within the village. So that ceremony is taking place. It's an annual event, and I'm really looking forward to meeting with the fire department. And so if we just keep all of our first responders in our prayers moving forward, that would be great. Thanks. So Mike is here. Lieutenant Spitaleri. So I was going to switch the agenda a little bit, but I think, Mike, would you be ready? You're okay to start? Lieutenant retired recently. I thought when we were down the river, I think the vent was out in front of the village hall. And for those of you that don't know, the lieutenant spent 32 years with us in Dobbs Ferry, and excellent service in those 32 years. You're here much longer than I have. So, and Mike has shared with me on a few occasions. I got to know Mike very well this year, and shared with me many stories back over those 32 years. And, not only about himself, but others within the village. And, the village, some of the village staff now. Mike sort of partially raised them. There were some stories I heard, I won't repeat those tonight, but there's some stories I heard that Mike was good with the young folks and always kept them on the straight and narrow. They may say differently tonight, but I've talked to many of them, and some of them are working for the village now, but they all respected Mike and appreciate some of the things that he did for them. So I asked the lieutenant to come back, and we can give him a proclamation from the village in our appreciation of those 32 years. 32 years of anything is a tremendous achievement, but to do it well is even more so. So let me read this, Mike, and then what we'll do is you can introduce your family, and we'll bring them up and we'll take a picture, and if anybody else wants to say anything, they're welcome to do so. The village, and in my opinion, and I think the board's opinion, has no greater responsibility than the safety and well-being of its citizens. Dobbs Ferry hired Michael Spitaleri as a police officer to police sergeant, and on July 17th, 2007, he was promoted to police lieutenant. During his career, the Dobbs Ferry Police Department Mike was designated as the Community Affairs Officer in 1996. He served as the DARE elementary instructor in 1997, expanded the patrol unit to include a bike patrol. In fact, I see it now back in service at our events on the river down at the waterfront. I did tell the chief, we got to get some officers, they had the shorts on. We've got to wait. So. Anyway, coordinated for the police department, the Harrison and Irvington pistol ranges for training, served on the traffic committee from 96 to 2007. I got to admit, everybody on the traffic committee down here gets promoted.
It's true. That's the only way to get ahead in this village.
In the village, get on the traffic committee. And then, of course, the patrol division commander and executive officer, the chief in July. You served as the program manager for the police department's accreditation and worked tirelessly to establish the department's accreditation since 1994. Throughout your career, you have worked with 4 chiefs, 8 mayors, 6 village administrators, and more trustees than we could count. Accurate. And the opportunity to work with 75 plus of the finest officers and staff, forming lifetime friendships and spending more time and holidays with them than his own family. After 32 years of devoted service to the village of Dobbs Ferry, Lieutenant Spitaleri will culminate his magnificent career. You're now with the Scarsdale School District.
Yes, I guess.
In a very important position. In fact, my son now is over there, so I told him to.
Keep an eye on it.
We are very lucky and grateful that you came to Dobbs Ferry. You gave us so much of yourself, and you've kept the community safe, helping so many of our citizens when they're in need. The ultimate example of what it means to be a public servant and to be a police officer. We wish you, I want to mention the family also. Thank you to the family. You know, people don't realize what you sacrifice when you do that. So, you know, we'll bring you up and introduce you. But thank you for your sacrifice also. I officially commend and thank Lieutenant Spitaleri for his service to our village and for making Dobbs Ferry a better and safer place. Through the authority of my office, do hereby proclaim Wednesday, September 26th, Lieutenant Michael Spitaleri Day in the village of Dobbs Ferry, and direct that this proclamation be carried out through the village for the good people of Dobbs Ferry to see and know.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
By the way, 32 years, it takes some, I would say some savvy, some political savvy. Because I asked, and I'm not going to say what the answer was that Mike gave me, but before you left, I think it was your last official meeting here, I said, Mike, who is the best mayor you've ever worked with? He's telling me you worked with 8. I said, that's why you've been here 32 years. I want to let you say a few words, and then if you want to introduce the family, and we'll bring them up.
This is a wonderful thing. I thank you very much to the board for that. I really appreciate that. 32 years, more than half my life spent here in Dobbs Ferry. It's my second home. The one part that you said in there was the great people that I had to work with. And some of them right there, they made my job easy.
Great guys.
Yes. You know, and I have my wife, Linda, who's been behind me all the way.
Hi, Linda.
One of my daughters, Lauren,
Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
So Sawmill's closed?
Sawmill's closed.
I heard Lower Rochester was flooded all over.
32 years.
Wow, those pictures are the worst.
They are, like his phone takes the tiniest picture.
Can you stand up?
No, it's just like different behind the several.
Great. Let's take one with the family too.
Yeah, family up there.
On stage?
My father
One, two, three. Let's switch over. Oh, we're videoing the whole time.
All right, we'll get one. You're welcome to sit here.
Mine's a bigger one.
Yeah, you think after 32 years driving here, you might want to Sawmill before.
I should come over and get a picture.
Hey, do I take a picture of
Yeah,
it?
right.
Yeah, come on, guys, some response.
Just think, I'm gone, so you guys can smile now.
Come on, Angela, don't grab it.
Thanks very much.
Give it a new one.
Wow.
Mayor, board, I just wanted to say something really quick, keep it short. I had the pleasure of working with Mike since 1997. For those of you who are not aware, for many years, Mike was my immediate supervisor. And for the cops, they would understand, maybe part of the civilians understand, but as a patrol officer, when you're out there on the road, anything can happen, obviously, you would never know what the jobs that come in are gonna entail. But what I can say about Mike, and I really can't pay you any greater, acknowledgement, that when you worked, and I was working for you, we were on the road, I always knew that regardless of the job that came in, you were gonna get us through it. And, 27 years, I started with different police agency. Back in 1992, I've seen a lot of sergeants, some good, some bad. But I always knew that when I worked with you, it didn't matter what call came over, we would get through it. And by the end of the night, we were going home. And I only hope that I lived up to just a small portion of how you handle the jobs that you came in. And I always appreciate it. I said it to you privately when you gave me notification that you got this job in Scarsdale, that I'm here because of you. What you taught me, what you trained me, I'm hoping that I can put into practice as a chief of police here in Dobbsburg. And you should be aware that I do owe Mike thanks. So at that time, I did thank you privately, but I do thank you publicly.
Thank you. There was a former mayor of town, Merrill, was supposed to come down tonight also, say a few words, but he got out of it. But I think
very much.
Thank
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Okay. Next, we have a presentation by the Downtown Improvement Task Force. And Raven David, who is the leader on the task force presentation. You're going to lead us off, Raven? Did you want to introduce your fellow members?
Microphone?
Yes.
Can you flip the mic? There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
So a couple of the task members are here. A couple couldn't make it due to some illness, but we have Elizabeth Hobson, who's the director of the library. We have Mike Smith, who's a resident, and we also have Sarah Colombo, who's a resident, and Megan O'Halloran, who's a resident also of Sedeli's Stone and Tile on Main Street. So the goal of tonight's presentation was just to give the board an update on what's going on, what are our goals, and what are our strategy, and what are our next steps. We've only been in existence really for about a month, so hopefully this will give you a great idea of what we're doing. So we felt that we all have this shared common interest of trying to improve the downtown, and unfortunately, it's pretty common in small towns, especially here in Westchester, and I listed here some of the common themes, and one of the things that we all collectively want to achieve is this experience and wanting to come downtown, even more so than just for errands, just to enjoy an experience. Of course, there's a lot of externalities with online commerce and things like that, but we want to bring back that small town vibe and also help the businesses, get residents downtown, increase people to come visit our town, and just grow the aesthetics and make it a nice place, nicer place to come visit. So we came up with a vision, which is to create a downtown that invites the community to shop, walk, and enjoy the beauty and vibrancy of the village. And our goal by March is to come back to you, the board, with preliminary recommendations to help achieve this vision. And so far, our strategy is just really threefold. Right now, it's to engage, solicit, and develop. So right now, we're in this awareness phase. We want people to know that we exist. We want to get people on the board, on the task force. And then we're going to start in the fall with soliciting information from different stakeholders about what they see are the challenges, what do they want to see improved, how can we do that, and continue doing that over the early months of 2019. And then as a core team, we'll come together, prioritize what are the themes, and come up with a list of short-term and long-term recommendations based on this collective of different stakeholders. So this is the timeline, basically what I just mentioned. Right now we're in the engagement stage. We're trying to get more people on the team, and also market what we're trying to do and start collecting data. And then it will continue in October to get more information from different stakeholder groups like business owners, property owners, residents, students, and then in March come up with a report to the board. So as I mentioned, we have a core team. So the core team is basically the group of people who are going to do whatever it takes. Strategize, make decisions, do the work. We have mostly residents right now, and we have a couple business owners. We're trying to get more property owners and business owners of longer establishment as well on the board. So hopefully we'll get 2 more. But right now we're about 10 people. We have an extended team, which is basically residents who are interested in the initiative as well, but probably can't commit to the same level of engagement as being on the core team. But they want to stay involved and help in any way possible, whether that's spreading the word, going to have focus groups with business owners, property owners, students from the local schools, and whoever else that we can try to get information from over the next couple of months. So I just summarized here what our vision is. Again, to create a downtown invites the community to shop, walk, and enjoy the beauty of vibrancy. Provide preliminary recommendations to the village to help achieve that in March. And right now, we're just focusing on firming up the team and continue to market what we're doing and start collecting more information about challenges and ideas.
That's great, thanks, Raven. I was at the kickoff meeting with our liaison trustee, you know, and I thought it was a great meeting. I mean, we had a lot of interaction, a lot of people showed up. There were a lot of good comments and suggestions and things that we can, you know, possibly do moving forward in the future to improve the village. And it's a great team here. I mean, I know all the people, and it's a terrific team that's very diverse and from different sectors. And I think you'll be very successful at it, you know, especially researching the different segments of the village to, you know, come up with some good direction for us. I don't know if you have any comments.
Yeah, I was just gonna comment that the people that are working on this, these guys are like, they're going to be very able to take all of the feedback from everybody, because it's something that people can get very passionate about, and like what, with the chamber, we always ended up talking about parking, and you could kind of talk about it for 20 years about parking being a problem, but we need to kind of do more than just that and figure out what other kind of solutions there could be that could help people in the short term and long term. And I think that the team that they're building is going to be really able to look at it from like a big picture standpoint and come up with those lists for us so that we can try and make things happen. And the timing is that they're trying to wrap it up before March, so that if anything is a long-term or if anything we'd have to invest in, then we can consider it in the budget meetings before that. So, and then hopefully there's shorter-term things that can really make an impact quickly. And so that's
Yeah. I know our village administrator, Charlene, and I were discussing earlier today about this, and there are a few villages, towns like Bronxville is one. I think there was an article recently. Bronxville has no vacancies in their downtown, which is fantastic. So, you know.
But even like that point of them having no vacancies, like they were asking, what's our vacancy rate? And you have to have a staff person to
Yeah.
calculate the vacancy rate. Like there's so many things that,
Yeah.
that bigger municipalities might be able to do. And so it's great to have all these volunteers helping to figure this out in
Right.
jobs.
And we understand every community is different and has different challenges and opportunities, but, you know, it's great that we have, this is a great community because we have volunteers like all of you that come out and help us out to make our way through the forest, I guess, to come up with the right answers for us moving forward. So it's very important, and I want to thank you all very much. Does anybody else?
I just wanted to say, well, piggybacking off of that, I was gonna say that, I was at a meeting, I told Christy this, that Larchmont went from 40% to 4%. So reaching out to their community somehow to find out what they did to do that would be helpful. And then I saw that you guys have a vision in here, which is great, but I just wanna ask if you guys haven't already, that you look at our vision plan for the downtown and just make sure we're all comporting with it. That's all.
Yes. So
Great.
Thank you for all your support. We are also doing a lot of research. We
Yeah.
have been doing case studies. What else can we learn from other communities? What are lessons learned? Of course, every town is different.
Yeah.
Not everything will work for every place, but if we can learn from other places, that would be great. So I started looking at case studies, and it's great that we also have Elizabeth here to help with research.
Great.
And Patty can tell you anything you need to know about the history of dogs too.
Yes, I've already used that resource too. And we have looked into the vision plan, been
Good.
archiving everything. I've read it in front to back.
That's awesome.
cover. So we are definitely trying to do this in an informed way and data-driven as much as possible. Because we know this topic could be quite controversial. So as a group, we're trying to stay neutral and take into consideration everybody's opinions, but also whatever is best for the collective, not all have great expertise, from marketing, project manager, and research and data. And we have Elizabeth from the library, we have Mike's who's a lawyer. So we definitely have a diverse talent.
That's awesome.
Great.
No, I appreciate it, thank you.
I also would just like to say thank you for the time you're putting in, the effort. There's a lot of energy. This is going to be a great project. And I appreciate the fact that you're taking the time to also communicate with the board.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having been involved in some previous iterations, the Downtown Improvement Committee going back, I guess, 10 years ago, I applaud the comment you made about trying to pull in some of the, more of the established businesses. I think that really is, it's not the easiest thing always to do, but it's worth the effort because they've kind of seen a lot and been through a lot. And also, to the extent that as many people as possible on your committee can have connectivity with the chamber, that'll help in terms of just being able to make sure that you can incorporate those points of view. So thank you.
Yes, thank
Yeah,
you.
thanks, Ray.
I just want to say, I think it's great, also you did a great job, but I know, and you touched upon it being non-political, because people who've been here 100 years may have a different vision than people who've been here 2 years. So the data-driven aspect of it, I think is important, because I think everybody, no matter where they come from, wants a good, vibrant downtown. And whatever that makes that successful, I think we all would be happy with that. So I think to focus on the data and to reach out to everyone is a good idea. So good luck.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else from your team that would want to make a comment? Anybody else?
Done
Want
such a good job.
She did do a very good job.
Very good job.
Thank you.
Thank you all so much.
Thanks.
Thanks. Before we go into, I guess I have to open or continue the public hearing. So I'll take a motion to continue the public hearing to establish parking restrictions for 99 Cedar Street parking lot. Trustee Nell, second. Trustee Clark. All in favor? Unanimous. Does anybody have any comments they'd like to make about? Yes, ma'am? Just state your name and your address. You might have to get closer to the mic.
Is this working?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that residents of Palisades, we have to park with some difficulty. And it's about to get quite a bit worse due to several factors. One, which is already here, is that the new entrance to Cedar Street lot is now no longer on Cedar Street, it's on Palisade, and the signs on either side which say no parking between signs take up 4 spaces right there that we used to have on Palisade Street. Another issue is that the Mercy parking lot, which is at 145 Palisade Street, has been, up until August, given permits to 10 people to park in there, but now that's in question, and they may not do that anymore. That's 10 more cars that have to find a space where there's already not as many spaces as cars. Another one is that in my building, I'm preparing 3 apartments to rent, which will soon add 6 more cars to Palisades Street visiting parking. And another issue is that when the extension behind 75 Main Street is completed, there are going to be a lot of residents moving there.
Mhm.
And it's ridiculous to think that they're all going to go to the indoor apartment. A lot of them can get out of their car and just leave and do whatever they want to do. So therefore, we are going to have what is now a minor crisis explode into an intolerable headache. And I personally I work where I live on my own building, and so I only move my car maybe once or twice a week or less. So some kind of parking regulation that says you have to, if you get home so late that you would be able to park in the Cedar Street lot where they're not legal prohibitions at this point doing that, that you have to then jump out in the morning and move your car again when you only normally need your car once or twice a week. That's a lot of, and the parking lot is about 4 or 5 houses up the street from mine, so spending all those trips over there for that purpose makes a very bad recommendation as far as people like myself are concerned.
Mhm.
So I understand that they have to
Well, the people with the downtown permits can park there, right, Shelley? In the new lot?
No,
They can't park there?
on the application, it doesn't list Palisade Street as one of the parts that can park there.
So they would have to park
No, I
on the
thought you had a,
Downtown.
downtown.
the business district one.
Yeah,
you-
but Palisade has the residential permit to park on the street.
Yeah,
so-
that you
oh,
can't
So
do.
they have that permit.
Yeah.
So they
You're
park on
talk-
Palisade.
They park in Palisade, so you're talking about, pardon me?
They have a permit, but there are a lot more permits than there are spaces on the street.
During the day?
No.
No, okay, and at night, we are allocating 10 spaces in the parking lot for people to park overnight, and the meters won't go on until 9
9
o'clock.
Complained about that, I don't wanna go twice a day when I only use my car once a week. And there's some people who don't have to go to work every single.
Yeah, you're looking for long-term
Long-term,
parking.
Yes, that's a big deal.
Yeah, well, I don't think we can
We
provide
can't
that.
really do that.
No.
Then we become a parking authority. Yeah.
So why don't we talk about what the law is
Yeah,
we're
what is that we're
proposing?
describing
Yeah.
here?
Right. Yeah.
Sure, after some comments in the last meeting, we made some revisions to the proposed law. Now, there'll be 10 designated spaces on the southeasterly portion of the parking lot, right near Palisade Street, excuse me. It will be dedicated to metered parking from 9 AM to 6 PM. You'll have to feed the meter during that time, but that will address some of the issues of someone having to get up at 5 in the morning to move their car. They can now move it at 9 AM to feed the meter, or move it to Palisade Street if you're a resident parker. Also, there will be allowed to be commuter parking and central business parking, but not in those 10 spaces.
Right.
And so those will be open essentially to people that are on Palisade Street that could park overnight, that could, like you said, I think last time the problem was that you have to travel so far to put your groceries away. That will not be the problem anymore. The other spaces will be limited to, all spaces are limited to 12 hours max. 6 PM, the meter will stop, and you can park, resident holders of permits can park there. Non-resident commuters, resident commuters, and semi-annual permits can park there for 12 hours. So I think that addresses some of the issues of the Palisade Street. I think you should get the parking lot open. It is fixed and ready to go now. This will provide restrictions. I did speak to the chief about it, and Charlene and I went over it also. So it seems like a reasonable compromise to start off and see how it goes.
Right.
It can always be amended at another time if it's not working.
Right, okay.
Anything for long-term people?
Well,
You
we
can't-
don't at this point, but we can take a look at it in the
Well,
future.
unless at 9 o'clock you want to go in and pay the fee until 6 o'clock.
No, that's all. I've lived here for 42 years.
But what someone
No,
could,
but I'm
what
just-
someone can do is park on the
Move it.
street.
They park in the street.
Yeah, I mean, if you happen to come home, one night late and need to park somewhere, there's a spot that you can park in the lot, and you can park in those 10 spaces, and you don't have to move it until 9 AM the next morning. Then Palisade Street, I've driven there a lot of times in the morning, it's pretty empty. You can then go park and move your car there and leave it for your 5 days like you do. And there's a solution for someone in your scenario, and anyone that leaves their car and goes to the train.
And generally speaking, part of the hope is, and as the mayor had said, this is something that the board intends to revisit and to look at in conjunction with the chief and Charlene as to how it's working, but that it should overall take cars off of Palisades, because it does provide another alternative for people who are now parking on Palisades. So for residents, particularly with the permits, it should make it easier, we hope.
Great, thank you, Cindy. Anyone else like to make a comment? Ed? Hennessy, Palisade Street.
And Hennessy, Bellwood Avenue, Downstairs,
Oh.
property owner on Palisade Street. Only thing I've asked is that you publicize whatever the rules are gonna be, because it's hard to understand, even though I was watching this, board meeting that you were talking about it, the TV still doesn't work well. And I know I'm trying to speak right into this mic so somebody can hear me, but
Yeah.
it doesn't come out that well, so I don't understand exactly what the final rules would be.
Right.
So I think it's a good idea if somehow the residents of Palisade Street need to know what they can do and can't do. The permit law, which we got passed not that long ago, is working to a degree, But it seems at night now when it's, you know, it's past the time of 7 o'clock when it ends, that's when the problem starts to occur again in Palisade Street. Where, you know, there's just run out of spaces, there's just too many people with too many cars. Anyway, that's all I had to say.
Thanks.
Ed, do you think those people are because they're going to restaurants at after 7 o'clock, or is it just people who live on Palisades who have 2 cars, 3 cars?
The answer to the question is yes. Yeah, a lot of it is people going to restaurants, some of the people work. Because I've actually questioned a few, and they leave their cars there, and they don't come back till 10, 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, okay.
The only reason I get involved is tenants.
Right,
Yeah.
playing. Okay.
So, two things, Charlene. One is, what's our plan for signage to make sure that we have very clear signage? I assume that you've got some plans in progress?
Yes, we have plans in progress for signage. We will confer with Christie as to the signage.
Official
And-
signage person.
Our graphic designer.
Our graphic designer.
Makes up for the rest of us.
But we will of course have signage. We are getting the cameras. The electrician will be in, hopefully sometime this week, to set up the electricity, so we have cameras in the kiosk. And it should be open, regardless of whether we have those things, it will be open for the Ferry Festa.
Good, and then, I guess a related question, I don't know how difficult it would be, but maybe you could look at the possibility, Ed's comment just put this in my head, to perhaps distribute or put up either some posters or flyers or something to residents on Palisades and perhaps Village Green, so that they would know, they're the ones who are most, affected by the change in parking, and it might be a nice courtesy if the village can do it, to provide them with additional information that others in the village might not benefit as much from.
So noted.
Great, and so we're very close to opening it up. We just have to wait for the kiosk.
We have to wait,
For the
well, we have the
electric.
kiosk, but we don't have the electrician yet.
Okay,
And we have a pad, and we don't have the cameras yet.
okay, great.
And
And
there's
then we
no,
have to do the 10 spaces, we have to restripe.
and there's no way that this could be the numbered kind, where you just pick the number. That's not the meter we bought, or we have.
I don't
Just
know,
like in-
I'll defer to the chief.
Because, right, just
But,
in.
but the numbered kind is really somewhat difficult. I mean, if we ever changed over, it would be really license plates, rather than the numbered kind, because it's a lot of maintenance,
Does she have to put the sticker?
numbers.
You have to go, like, if you're at the far end of the lot and you have to
Yeah.
come to the
Yeah.
meter, you have to go back to your car to put it back
Yeah.
in the thing. I mean,
We can
It's
look at the
just-
license plate, and have the license plate. You know how it is in some places, where you put in your license plate.
yeah.
But we'll look at that.
And does the thing, the kiosk we have has the pay by phone sort of thing, or no?
It has all the same things.
All the
as
same
we
things
do.
as our other meters?
Okay,
Which means eventually we can do it by phone, right? Right now we can't.
We haven't put the apps in yet.
Right, but
People are still
eventually-
getting used to,
right,
we
but
can,
we
it has
can.
the ability to do
Okay,
apps.
got it. Sorry.
okay, so I guess we can, no other comments, we can close the public hearing. So I'll take a motion to close the trustee Nell, second, trustee Taylor, all in favor, unanimous. Courtesy.
Do you want to take a motion
Oh,
to adopt the local law as prepared?
you want to read the law, you have it?
Yeah, we can do it as that, just as prepared and as noticed.
Okay,
Take a mo-
all right, so I'll take a motion to adopt the law as prepared. Do I have a motion? Trustee Nell, second, Deputy Mayor Cassell, all in favor, unanimous. Courtesy of the floor. Ed?
Uh-oh.
He just doesn't want to go in the rain.
Once again, is Ed Hennessy, Belvedere Avenue. I'm here actually representing the American Legion Post 1048 of Dobbs Ferry. We would like to request the village become a Purple Heart village, similar to that of Hastings and Irvington, our neighbors to the south and north. It's no cost to the village if they do this. The only thing the village would to do is make a proclamation saying it's becoming a Purple Heart Village. There will be signage involved, which we will provide, and with the village decide exactly where it would normally go, which is somewhere near the village entrances. From Watson to Hastings to Irvington, and I might recommend, as I mentioned to the mayor, I think we should put a welcome to Dobbs Ferry sign somewhere at the river towns when you come off the parkway, because some people don't realize they're in Dobbs Ferry. But I have a copy of the Irvington sign, which I passed around, which we plan to duplicate. We have permission from the National Military Order of the Purple Heart to use their logo, which we had to get. I'm going through several different sign people to see what it was cost us to do it. And I also have the copies of the proclamations that Hastings and Irvington provided. And I'll give you copies of them so you can see that.
Thanks, Ed.
So I assume this is just the start of a process where you're probably going to go through a public hearing, but if you don't mind, I want to read the proclamation that Hastings uses because it gives a good idea of why they're doing this and what it's for. Whereas the Purple Heart is awarded to men and women in the U.S. military who were wounded or killed in combat by enemy forces while defending the United States of America. Established by George Washington while in New York headquarters on August 7, 1782, it acknowledges the price paid by our armed forces as a result of combat. And the Board of Trustees of the Village of Hastings and Hudson salute all brave men and women who left their families, friends, and communities to place themselves in harm's way, answering the call of our nation. And the Board of Trustees of the Village of Hastings and Hudson acknowledges their heroic contribution and sacrifice of those men and women in the military who reside in the Village of Hastings and Hudson and elsewhere in the country, and who were killed and suffered injuries while serving in the armed forces. We honor them today and every day and commend them for their acts of bravery while answering the call to service on behalf of the nation. Therefore, be it resolved by the order of the Board of Trustees of the Village of Hastings and Hudson, thus hereby declare the Village of Hastings and Hudson a Purple Heart Village, and in doing so recognizes the dedication and sacrifices to all the men and women in the United States military who have valiantly served their country to protect the freedoms that are our birthright as all Americans. This doesn't give any recognition to any particular conflict. It's the recognition and the respect for the people who served, they paid the ultimate price and lost their lives, or got wounded and deserve this award. And I'll answer any questions if you have them, otherwise I'll just hand this out.
No,
sounds great.
it's a great thing, I
Thank you
think.
for
Ed.
bringing it up.
Thanks for bringing that to our attention, and we'll certainly do what we can to implement it as quickly as possible.
We can put it on the next agenda.
Right, great. Thanks, Ed.
I'll tell you what, I think you passed a few of these copies out.
Okay.
Irvington's is pretty much similar, but it's not quite the same, but Hastings seems to have hit the thing just right.
Yeah.
And anytime you need anything,
Great, that's good.
because I am the sole spokesperson for the American Legion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll pass them down that way. Pass those down. And this is the Hastings. Great. Anybody else like to make a comment? Yes, ma'am. Beth, how are you?
Hi, Connie Burke, from
Connie.
Cabrini of Westchester. I'm here to just seek permission and approval for us to have a Share the Journey walk for the members of the Cabrini of Westchester. And let me just read to you the purpose of that walk, and then I'll give you the other information. The purpose of the Share the Journey walk is to demonstrate our support and concern for the many refugees and migrants throughout the world with this involved journey. As a ministry founded by Mother Cabrini, who is considered the patron of immigrants and refugees, St. Cabrini Nursing Home and the Cabrini Immigrant Services are committed to advocate and support those who have left the homes to find a better life. So we're looking to just do a low-key walk on Tuesday, October 23rd, with about 25 to 30 employees. Just no streets to be closed. We were going to start it at 121 Main Street and go to Livingston and end at 115 Broadway at the
Just
nursery.
walk down the sidewalk.
Just on the sidewalk, we're not, you know, low key, we were just gonna have a banner, and then some of the staff carrying, representing different flags of different countries.
Great.
So that is what we're requesting permission.
And what time are you gonna do it?
1:30 to 2:30 in the
1:30 to
afternoon.
And the date again, I'm sorry.
23rd?
Tuesday, October 23rd.
Thank you.
What does the chief think?
I don't know.
Chief?
Can others join
Do you have
in?
any comments?
I'm sorry.
I said, can others join in?
Yes, if they choose to, we welcome anyone, yes, absolutely.
Why don't you, can you email me?
Yes, I sent Liz.
You sent Liz,
Yes, I
okay.
She sent it
Liz
around.
all the
Yes, she did. We did
information, and
see-
she
yes,
asked
we
her
did
to
have this,
come
yeah.
this evening to present it.
Yeah.
But she has all the information.
Okay.
Terrific, thank you.
So, yes,
Great, thanks, Bonnie.
okay, thank
Sounds
you
good.
all. Thank
Is
you
it
in
okay
advance for your consideration.
Yeah, it's all right. Great.
We don't need to,
Great.
we don't need to.
Anybody else? Patty?
Patty Steinschneider, one of the members of the Ferry Festa Committee. Just reminding everyone that this is the last Board of Trustees meeting before Ferry Festa, October 6th. We still have some space if people want to sign up. You have to pay the additional fee now. Jeff will let us off the hook. We're doing well, we're starting to catch up, and I think we're crossing that number, so that we're in really good shape. We've had some excellent sponsors this year, which I think we're going to acknowledge later, and I think you asked me the other day how we're doing, I think I can now report back to you we're doing good.
Good.
We're doing really
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
It's a great day for the village and a great event. And we have a lot of people show up for that. And,
Yeah, good.
you know, you're the guy that
I-
really makes it happen.
One of the guys just helping on the side. If you can make sure that you do your part.
Oh, wait a minute.
You have to write a check.
No, he has to make sure it's sunny.
It's gotta be sunny, that's.
But,
When I look at the days like today, I'm thinking how important what you do actually is. So Bob is guaranteed us good weather, and I think it usually works out.
well, we've had two events recently. Saturday, we had the public market. Really
Gorgeous day.
a wonderful day.
Yeah.
Took me, I was up late that night, trying to put that
Dancing.
together. And of course, we had the fire department parade volunteers, and that turned out to be a beautiful day also.
So just give us.
So I think we're on target for the 6th
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
of October. It's a great day for the village, and thank you, Patty, for all the work you do on
Well,
that.
thanks for everybody, everything. Chrissy's been great. She's been doing parts of it that I just perfectly great at getting the ads and terrific, the banners, all the graphics, really notched up significantly in the appearance. And I thank Chrissy for making all that happen.
Great, thanks, Patty.
Thank you.
Anybody else? I did want to make, I know, Chief, you have to leave, but I wanted to make a comment about, we had a lot of, and the reason I'm doing this now instead of at the end of the meeting, is some people have said that they only watch the beginning of the meeting and they don't watch all the way to the end, especially if it's long.
The end's the best part.
It is the best part, yes. I said you just have to DVD it. But they didn't.
TBD it.
But anyway, there's a few things recently, from a communications point of view. We had a couple of great events, as we just talked about. We have one coming up, and we try to communicate that out to the village in many ways. And there are some people that haven't gotten the message, unfortunately, but I encourage people to sign up for the mayor's newsletter and or Twitter, or you can look on Facebook, because we put it out in all three places. We put it up on our website. I'm not sure if there's any place else we do it. We sent out a few special announcements. We feel bad if people missed it, but if you don't sign up for the newsletter and some of these other things, it's very difficult for us. And we'll try to do better in the future. But in some instances, we actually put out personal notes to the people that are directly affected. So I encourage people to do that. Second is the traffic situation. I've gotten a lot of calls and emails over the last couple of days. And granted, when school starts back, there's a whole different, dynamic within the village, and especially the downtown and the, Broadway and Ashford corridor there. And when it rains, it compounds the issue. So nobody wants to wait out with the bus when it's pouring rain, especially on a day like today, and they decide to drive, which probably doubles the amount of cars going through the corridor there. So it's a difficult thing, and we have, with the new speed zone, we have a police car out there with trying to slow down traffic so that it's a safer place for kids crossing the street, going into school, coming out of school, and sometimes later at activities that are going on beyond. So as we did last meeting, we encourage people, to obey the speed limit, obey the safety laws, stop signs. When buses are stopped and the stop sign's up, you can't pass the bus. You have to wait. So it's the safety of our children, students, the pedestrians, and we want it to be a walking, biking village. So sometimes we have to sacrifice a little bit, and if possible, be considerate. I see people pulling out into the, what do they call it, the box, Chief?
Yes.
Where on Broadway and Ashford, they'll pull out and there'll be 3 cars or 4 cars, next to each other trying to get through the lot, or the light. So we all need to be, and we're aware of what's going on. It's not like we don't see what's out there. So I just want to encourage people to, to drive safely and, of course, be a little bit patient, especially on these days. I mean, this year it's rained, I think, more than I remember. I'm building my little ark in the backyard, just for safety purposes. Anyway, so does anybody else want to make a comment on that? Okay, matters requiring action. I'd like to consider a motion to approve the temporary license agreement with Sabre Dobbs-Ferry LLC for improvements to Chauncey Park. Darius, did you want to make a comment on that?
Sure. So as part of the Rivertown Square Development requirement for Chauncey Park, the area north of Danforth and Stanley Avenue, to be certain improvements done, a bridge over a small creek, some work on some of the trees, some of the path improvements, etc. There's a whole plan for it. We ran into trouble over the years in getting this implemented because we learned that the county actually owned the property and was supposed to transfer it to the village in 1965. The Board of Legislatures of the county approved it, but they never filed the deed. So no one's fault for the deed not filing that we can point to. But we worked with the county for years to try to get the legislator to reapprove it so we can get the property and get this work done. It didn't happen for a number of years. Actually, the county drafted a license agreement to enter into with Sabre way back when for them to do the work through the county, but that never materialized either. So the last couple of months, the county has been refocused on this, thanks to Charlene's help on that. Working with the county, the legislature approved the transfer of the land to Chauncey Park, to us, to the village. And as you recall, we tested the property to make sure it was clean, and it came out clean. So that was approved by the Board of Legislators. I've been working with the county attorney's office. We have a deed approved, signed, tax forms signed. Everything has been filed. We actually received the filed deed back today from the county, so the property is officially ours. In order for Sabre to go in, as you know, Sabre did sell the property, but Sabre still has the responsibility to complete the work in Chauncey Park. I apologize, in my memo I indicated as the current owner of Chauncey Park, Rivertown Square. They're the former owner. I apologize for that typo. So they're prepared to do the work. I have been speaking to their team to get the work done. In order to do so, we need to have a temporary license agreement for them to go on our property. I have beefed up some of the language a little bit concerning some of the history and the sale of the property from Sabre to Regency. So that'll be added in. I think this is pretty straightforward. That'll let them go on the property. They'll provide the requisite insurance in case anything happens to any of the contractors that do the work. So we need you to approve the temporary license agreement, then we can have it signed by us and Sabre, and then they can begin the work. We're hoping Once we sign it, it'll be 8 weeks for them to start the work, and it should be done pretty quickly. They've indicated about a week to get all the work done.
Terrific.
So this will be pretty much the last step to get that work done. This is one of the requirements that they have to do, and they are prepared to do it, and we've been in constant contact with them. So I'd ask for the approval. We'll finalize some of the language. I can go back and forth with the board members in red line so they can see the final version.
Can you just remind the public what the work is they're doing there?
Sure. There's a detailed work there. There's a stream there that now people have to jump over if you're coming from Southfield Avenue, walking from Chauncey Park to either access Rivertown Square or try to access the North County Trail. And now there'll be a bridge, so anyone could really do it instead of having to jump over and potentially get hurt. There'll be some tree removal and plantings done, some improvements to the pathway. It'll be a good improvement. I think the CAB looked at this. They were very much in favor of this, the CAB, during the Rivertown Square project. And I think it's a nice improvement. It'll be sort of a passive walking trail for village residents. People could walk their dogs, go for a jog. People from Northfield can even walk down the Rivertown Square now if they want to cross Ashford Avenue.
Right.
We do it at the crosswalks.
Well, it's good, it's open space and.
Yeah, so it'll be open space for
Nice
us.
little spot there.
Yep, leave it as
That's great.
parkland. Yep, it's a good thing.
So let me, anybody have any other comments? I'll thank, Darius, thank you for working, Charlene, on that together to get that done. Very important that we close that up as soon as possible, and that'll be great for the village, so terrific. And the same thing with the parking lot, 99 Cedar Street, which it's great that we're gonna have it open for the very festive, so thank you for that, Charlene and Ed, our building superintendent, and Darius, for getting that done very quickly, since we learned of the incident there. So that's great. Shows you we're teamwork.
Yep.
So I'll take a motion then. Trustee Taylor, second. Deputy Mayor Cassell, all in favor? Great. Consider a motion to approve orders number 5 and number 6 for September 2018 as recommended by the village treasurer. Jeff, any comments?
I have no additional comments at this point.
Trustee Taylor? No. Trustee Mazzillo? Trustee
I make a
Taylor,
motion.
second. Trustee Mazzillo, all in favor? Unanimous. Consider a motion to accept various donations for the 2018 Ferry Festival.
I'm reading from Patty's email.
Okay.
So, the list of sponsors, Brooklyn Market is donating $985 to pay for the main stage rental.
That one's going to the chamber. It already went to the chamber, and the chamber's gonna cut a check to the village for a donation. So it's gonna be a donation from the chamber in the end. For that.
Okay, the chamber is.
Just
Compass Realty is donating $2,000 to help pay for the inflatables that will be used by the 5 Doxbury High School Sports Club to raise funds to support their programs. Caldwell Banker is donating $1,500 to help pay for the music on the main stage. 2 Ashford Realty is donating $500 to help pay for the ads in the Enterprise. If there are any others that need to be added, we can accept them in the October meeting. I don't think there'd be an issue with
So
that.
these are donations from private companies to the village of Dobbs Ferry.
For Ferry Fest, for various aspects of.
And that's how it
Ferry
has to
Fest.
be, you have to specifically know which, like, you just can't say we're taking $10,000 in and using it for.
You can, but in this case, because it's going to be, especially with the sports club, and how they're doing it, we really have to be very specific on how that's going. We're not paying for it, they're paying for it, and the funds that they collect will then go to that sports club. So you really want to be specific in that.
Got it.
Great. Okay. So do we have a motion to accept? Deputy Mayor Cassell, second. Trustee Sullivan, all in favor? Unanimous.
Thank
And
you.
thank you to the sponsors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's great.
That's a good point.
That's a
They're
big
gonna
help.
get nice big banners.
Yeah.
Nice big-
We'd love to
nice big
recognize
banners for
so
them.
people in the village will realize that they've been generous and
Yeah.
help put the fest on.
Great, thanks, Pat. Consider a motion to call for a public hearing to amend section 300-19, historic review.
This is an issue that has come up concerning the historic section. As you know, there was a historic task force that was led by Sonia. There was great language provided and into the code now for a process and how things will be reviewed. One of the issues, there's been a slight stall in the ARB reviewing things. Through no one's fault, we understand they're very busy. There's been a proposal that perhaps we should, if they don't, after a certain amount of time, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, that there's been an application for historic building or historic area, that if they don't address the issue, or at least had meetings on it, that then it would all just come to you as a board of trustees, and then you would decide it. You'll decide it ultimately anyway. You'd like to get guidance from the ARB, but if they're not able to do so, it'll come to you. That's the thought process that would come to you. So we need to amend the code to do so and have a public hearing on that.
It would be that they would have 90 days after they hold the public hearing on the historic district proposal to make the recommendation to,
I think we could tweak the law. The issue would be, I think there was one even case where there wasn't any discussion at all on it.
No hearing.
So we could provide some different language.
well, I think the law requires a public hearing.
Well, we'll look at the language.
You guys have it
Excuse me?
then, that you guys would have it.
Well, there's a number of things to look at. You know, we're drafting legislation, has not been drafted yet.
No.
Let me get something on paper, we'll send it around, see what people's thoughts are, and then we can, have the public hearing. It could change, this could take, a few meetings to get the language right. But, I'll get something down on paper, get it to everyone to look at, then, once we have a sort of initial thought, okay, let's get this out to the public, we can have the public hearing, and we could do that in the next
Can we,
week.
are we scheduling the public hearing now for the next meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all we're doing tonight, just scheduling the hearing. So, if you want to do it, I mean, I know we discussed it, so we thought it would be appropriate to put on the agenda. If you want to leave it as it is, we can do that too, but maybe it's worth a discussion.
Yeah, I think it is.
We should have a public hearing.
I make the motion for the public hearing.
All right, trustee Sullivan, second, trustee Taylor, all in favor? Unanimous. Okay, trustee Nell, do you have any report for them?
We do minutes, but I'll do reports.
Oh, sorry, I missed
All
a
right.
minute. So, any comments on the minutes?
Nope. I'll still do that one though.
So I'll make a motion, trustee Nell,
To approve the minutes. Mm-hmm.
Second. Trustee Sullivan,
Oh,
She
not
can't,
there.
she can't do it. I'll second it.
trustee Zillo, all in favor? Unanimous.
So it's five.
It's 5 and 1
Five of us.
abstain.
She can't vote. She can't.
All right.
I can't vote.
I don't have anything to report. The nominating committee's gonna have a table at Festa. I'm working on a flyer that describes the boards and committees, and I'm gonna be reaching out to all of you guys to verify the information. And Liz, Liz is not here though, but when she gets back. That way we can hand it out so people might know more about what the boards and committees are and find places they might be interested in volunteering and see if we can recruit even more people to do things for free for the village.
Great, thanks. Trustee Nell, trustee Sullivan.
So the seniors have some events going on that they want to share with the public and encourage people to attend. There's a trip to the Hudson River Planetarium on October 4th. It's $18 per person, and you need to pay Abby by, I guess, Friday, the 27th. The coach bus will meet at the police station at 11, and then there'll be a lunch at Lombardo's at 11:30. The show will start at 1:30. And there's a thank you to Mary Jane Shimsky, sorry, for sponsoring. They also have chair yoga going on Tuesdays till December 18th at the Dobbs Ferry Library from 9:30 to 10:30 with Patricia Schneider. You can sign up again with Abby. And then they have a whole senior fitness club with lots of different activities, including line dancing or dance exercise, senior exercise and yoga. That's $40 for Dosbury residents and $60 for non-residents. That will also take place at the library.
Great, thank you, trustee Sullivan. Trustee Taylor?
Sure, a couple things. One, announcement, if people aren't already aware of it, the Chamber of Commerce, Rivertown's Chamber of Commerce is meeting tomorrow at 6:30 PM at Go Sue Restaurant in Irvington. So that's a regular meeting of the Chamber of Commerce. The other thing I'd like to make a remark on is, I think hopefully many of the people here are watching this on television were able to go down to the public market at the waterfront, which worked out to be an absolutely wonderful event. It was extremely well attended. It was just a great feeling to be down there and to see so many Dobbsbury residents and their friends and other neighbors enjoying the waterfront park, each other, the kinds of things that the organizers of that set out to do. So I want to say thank you to the organizers, because I know it, even though it wasn't always a perfectly smooth road and it was a lot of work, it certainly paid off, and it was a wonderful event. I also would like to thank the people who volunteered, including the Sustainability Committee, and especially I'd like to thank the village staff, who I know worked very, very hard and are working very, very hard this fall to make events like the Fireman's Parade, like the public market, and the upcoming festa happen for us to enjoy. So please make sure that your staff knows,
Absolutely.
Charlene, how much we appreciate their work.
Jen, you heard that?
I'll second that. There's some-
Yeah.
Thank you.
some key people too that were involved, including trustee Nell, Ally Moss,
Ally Moss and
and
Michelle Adams.
Michelle Adams, Kate.
Doug?
What's
Kate.
Kate's last name?
Oh, gosh, don't do this on.
Doug Schneider
Doug
and Jenny
Schneider, Jenny
Rosenstruck.
Rosenstruck, yes.
Yeah, so those.
And Kate,
and,
who's not a Dodge resident.
Trustee
she's probably
Nell
watching.
and many other volunteers that helped out. And I tell you, I started at 11 o'clock and it really was a success, a great day for the village. And
I heard, they were telling me all the anecdotes at the office. They're saying that the vendors refilled 2 or 3 times. Like they brought enough
Yeah.
food for one and then refilled twice and refilled 3
Wow,
times,
that's
sold
good.
out everything.
It's fantastic.
I heard there were
And
3,000 people.
4,000. They used a clicker to
double what they
count, like
estimated.
actually count it. And,
Wow, that's great.
And so they were all thrilled, like all the vendors were super thrilled, and all of the residents, everybody that, I was out of town, everybody I know said, I saw every single person I know in Dobbs Ferry there, so I don't know.
Yeah, it was great. And
Can I have a special shout out for Sustainable Westchester and the
Yes.
recycling group? Because they did a fantastic job. They cleaned up and it was really a good
Yeah.
job.
Elisa.
Really, yes,
the
and
quick-
really
the cleanup
appreciate
went
it.
quick because of that, right? I was told.
They cleaned up, yeah, and then it was not very much left. I
Yeah.
mean, they did an excellent job and everybody recycled.
Yeah, so it was great. It was really, and they had
Can we get them
a
at Festa?
demonstration and things for the kids that they could use, it was really an educational type. I learned a lot when I was there, Ben.
Did you do the spin wheel of?
Yeah, the spin wheel.
Yeah, that was great.
It was great. And there were many other activities for the kids also. So it was a great event. Obviously, as trustee Taylor pointed out, we've had these major events and it has been a strain on the village resources. So we do thank all of them for their help with these things. Great. Trustee Zilla?
I have nothing.
Deputy Mayor? The main thing is the Ferry Festa that we have coming up, and that's gonna be a big day, so I hope everybody gets out for that, and the weather will be good, Patty, I can assure you. I don't think can you impeach because of weather?
We'll find out.
We'll find out.
We'll find out. Anybody else have any other comments? Thank you all very much.